Hi, beautiful babes. So I'm doing a couple videos back to back today. I'm not going to post them all at the same time, but I am recording them all in a batch because, well, being a mother and also having a full-time job doesn't exactly allow me to record videos every day. So at least for a little while, we're going to have batch videos. I'm sorry. And this video is an unboxing for the Lightworker Oracle deck. I'm really excited to unbox this one actually because I watched a couple unboxing videos of it myself and I got really excited and wanted to check this out. So this one is by Alana Fairchild, who has done several Oracle decks actually, and the artwork is by Mario. I'm going to butcher this last name. I'm sorry. Duguay? It's through Blue Angel Publishing. This is actually a much larger box than I thought it would come in. But we will take a look and crack it open. The fact that it's a Lightworker Oracle and the artwork is what caused me to want to pick it up. Oliver. So let's see. Nice little tissue paper. Okay, I'm pulling out the guidebook, I hope. And here it is. Lovely. So it looks like there's quite a bit of information in here. Questions on how to figure out whether or not you are a light worker. Honestly, if you work in any sort of healing modality or provide any sort of humanitarian work, then if you help anyone, either not as a professional business, but even just as a large part of your life, then I consider you a light worker. But everybody I know has their own definitions. Life missions for light workers, and then it goes through the different cards, and there's quite a bit of information. There's at least 2 pages it's showing for each card, so it looks to me at least that it's going in quite a bit of in-depth in each card. And there's also an invocation, interestingly enough, for each card. Sorry about the lighting, guys. It's raining today, so my lighting sucks. But there's quite a bit of information for each card, so I don't think that you're going to be lost with any of the messages. Information about the author and the artist in the back, as well as other decks and meditation CDs. Let's see, are there any spreads in here? I saw a 3-card spread in the beginning. I think that might be the only one that they include in here. But quite obviously, if you follow any other major tarot readers or any amazing tarot websites, you're going to find spreads online just by hunting a little bit. This is a 44-card deck. Here is the deck right here. No. There's a little bit of stuff on this card. It's odd. So here's the deck. Here's what I was looking at. It's not wiping off, so I think that just might be an unfortunate print on the back of this card. But here are the backs. It's very glossy cardstock, very typical of Blue Angel Publishing. So when you first get the deck, you'll want to separate the cards because they're going to stick together a little bit. as mine are right here. So I just kind of go through and unseparate them here. So cardstock is pretty thick, but it's glossy. Again, it's very typical of Blue Angel Publishing if you've ever seen it. So the first one is the card that's on the box in the guidebook right here. First Ray of Power. This one is Second Ray of Wisdom. We have Third Ray of Creative Intelligence. It's interesting. It's the photo that was on the back of the book. Paradigm Shift. It's a very interesting one. Karmic Clearing. So right away, I already really like the imagery. It's very light so far. I'm not seeing Unplug from Mass Consciousness. Star Child. That one's gorgeous. I'm not really seeing any shadow cards in here at all. Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. And I see that a lot from decks from, say, Doreen Virtue, and a few others, especially from Hay House artists, that their oracle decks tend to be all light, which, you know, it can be good, but for healing without a little bit of shadow in there, it's difficult to dig deep. So I feel like a lot of it just ends up being positive affirmations. Soul Child, that's cute. Little boy with a teddy bear down at the bottom. Grounding, Earthing, that one's very pretty. So, gorgeous imagery though. Very, very beautiful artwork. Ascension, the Rainbow Bridge, I like that. So I imagine this oracle card for anybody that actually works with decks on a regular basis or that does client readings. I would say maybe this is a good one to kind of add in and pull a card as a final message from Spirit, or perhaps kind of a notation on what the individual needs to work on right now or work towards. Initiation by air. Maybe even a little bit of guidance on their soul's purpose. Merkaba, spiritual protection. Key of Light. Cosmic Heart, Cosmic Christ. So this is a very Master Hilarion, Archangel Raphael. It's a very heavily angel influenced deck. Pink Rose and Lady Nada. A lot of cards relating to, this one says Dark Angel, so maybe there's a teeny bit of shadow in here. Alchemical Mutation. But a lot of these artworks are definitely Christian based, which makes no mind to me even as a pagan. But I get not all light workers, obviously, are going to be Christian, so that might turn a few folks off from this deck just looking through it. Heart Transmission, Earth Healing. And you know, a lot of the figures are white and blonde. Don't know if that was done on purpose. We do have a brunette here. But there's not a tremendous amount of diversity in this deck either, to be quite honest with you. And that's a little bit disappointing as well. Seventh Ray of Ritual, Order, and Ceremony. So, overall first impression, I love the vibrancy and the color of this deck. It's a very large deck. So if that bothers you, I happen to have tiny hands. So shuffling large decks is, you know, can be a bit cumbersome. But to be perfectly honest with you, that doesn't necessarily deter me from using a deck or purchasing a deck. I don't necessarily find that to be a con when it comes to working with the decks. But if you're a bit on the small side and you find large decks cumbersome, this might be a little bit hard to work with. But if that doesn't bother you, then I actually find that the artwork of the larger decks are just, there's more vibrancy. You can get more of the picture in there. I love that there are no borders. The picture takes up just about the entire card, and then you just have a couple of words at the bottom for what that card's supposed to represent. But again, downside, there's really zero diversity in this deck. It's a little sad. Not really happy with that aspect. And it's very, very Christian influenced, but that's more the artist's tastes, and not necessarily, you know, his fault. His artwork was just used for an oracle deck, so it is what it is. But I do wish that there was more diversity in it, and that there were a few more shadow cards, because not all light work is going to come with light, to be perfectly honest with you. You're going to need that shadow aspect to balance out the light and actually dig deeper into the roots of the problems. So as far as a healing deck goes, this feels a little bit surface level, but I'm going to have to dig into the meanings in the booklet to get more information on that. Just cracking this deck open doesn't really tell me a whole lot aside from the pictures and the underlining names of the cards. So pulling a card here, let's look into the book and see what meaning it provides. So we'll just shuffle this a little bit. I'm sorry, my dog is licking himself and being very loud right now. So if you can hear that, I apologize. Okay. Card, Initiation by Air. That is a very beautiful card. Do like that sunset in the back. She's standing on the cliffs, the birds. He could possibly be the Grand Canyon. Not entirely sure. And that's card number 24. This is a 44 card deck. So Initiation by Air. And that tells us if I can count. You have a strong and powerful mind. The mind can be a great asset. It can bring comfort, peace, and strength as you take your spiritual journey. It can also be a dark and destructive force, undermining your power, making you doubt your own heart and keeping you trapped in fear. The mind, developed without a loving spiritual practice, can be a frightening weapon rather than a liberating sword. How will you choose to use your mind power? So that's interesting. There is some warning to each card, it looks like. I'm not sure if that's taken through to all of the other cards, but at least in this particular one, it's talking about the power of the mind and how you use it. Positive and negative thoughts. Thoughts are the first touch point to manifestation. So what you think becomes, and that's what this card is talking about right here. Although I would have liked to see the birds maybe coming from the head and not the heart. But again, I don't believe that the cards were specifically painted for the Oracle deck. I think that they were created first, and then the Oracle deck was kind of created around that. So not entirely sure whether or not that just happened to be the message that came to the author when she wrote the messages for this deck, or if that was a message and they just picked a card or piece of artwork that looked closest to it. Like I said, I'm not sure what came first, the artwork or the message. But I can kind of see where this artwork translates into that, but not... I would have liked the imagery to be slightly different, at least for that particular message. Initiation by air. Obviously, the air element is associated with the mind. And for that reason, yes, I can pull that message from the element specifically. But if you'll look at this one, initiation by water, coming straight out of the mind, with the heart chakra glowing. However, water obviously rules emotions, not necessarily thought. So I get the message. I just think that for that particular card, the imagery wasn't dead on, but works well enough. And again, this is all preference, guys. You don't have to agree with me in any way, shape, or form with regards to this deck. That's just what I pull from it right off the bat. But still stunning imagery nonetheless. So if you really like gorgeous Oracle decks with stunning artwork, and getting that positive message, I would be using this deck specifically for where it is that I need to go on my spiritual journey, next steps, things like that. Like this one, 1111, messages in the numbers. Merkaba, spiritual protection. So I definitely would use this in conjunction with another deck, but I'm not entirely sure whether or not I would be using it on its own. But again, it's up to the user. Just my personal preference. So that's the Lightworker's Oracle. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will check you guys out in the next video.